Good morning. Happy Friday, December 20th, 2024. It's time to build some AI skills on the daily, the last day before uh, a lot of people take off for the holidays, and the last day of the 12 days of OpenAI. So lots of stuff going on here with George and Nico. How you fellas doing today?
Doing really good. Looking forward, very much looking forward to today. Being that it's the 12th day, I imagine obviously we'll have the largest announcement of the week, oh, which I assume would be something in the realm of product, maybe, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah, well, let's see. I am super curious of what they're actually gonna like talk about today, and if it's gonna be like a boom boom boom, or if it's gonna be like a oh my god. But I'm doing good. It's Friday, and the weekend is coming.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's I watched a video yesterday, day 11, um, talking about the desktop apps, uh, and noticed that the head of product, has been the guy on a lot of these videos. Um, and I gotta give these engineers some credit. All of them showing up on camera, being themselves. It's quite refreshing to see, some of that authenticity behind the scenes. At the end of yesterday, the guy like busted out the saxophone and played
Yeah.
uh, played a Christmas tune. It was really good actually, and it's like you don't always see that side of the developers like behind the scenes. So I think they've done a great job
So
kind of presenting this and
yeah,
humanizing it at the same
that
time.
that's the thing. That's so my takeaway for the 12 days of shipments is they have done a great job of humanizing OpenAI because you're seeing the faces, you're hearing the voices. They're purposely like making jokes, bad jokes,
Mhm.
but jokes, right? And I think purposely bad jokes. But you are learning these little things about them along the way. Like multiple times you've heard, well, I do this, but I also work for OpenAI. And I think it's interesting that like because they could be just straight nerd, straight AI, but they've chosen to like, hey, how do we humanize this a little bit? And I thought that was a really smart play.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely been quirky, but nice to see like everybody get a chance to. I shouldn't say everybody, but you know, we're very much used to the old days of Steve Jobs being out just by himself, or Ballmer being out there by himself, or Bill Gates being out there by himself. You name it. Usually, just the head of the org. It's not necessarily taking all the credit, so to speak, but the head of the org being the sole representative and like really never getting to see any of the people behind the curtain. So this is definitely an awesome way to do that and to introduce everybody to part of the staff at OpenAI that work really hard on this stuff. And I think it's really cool because it certainly gives me more names of individuals to like look into and follow and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. That's a great perspective. Like the difference, another thing that's different, and I think this is probably high on the list of things they need to accomplish, is the relatability of this is not just another Silicon Valley like product coming to, take over and, you know, um, and the relatability of it has been really impressive in my opinion. And I think it's something they have to achieve because I love the vibe of like, yeah, these are tools that help you do stuff. Like, why wouldn't you use them? Like, oh, and we're just like, it's not anything fancy. Like, obviously, there's a lots. It's pretty fancy behind the
Yeah, yeah,
scenes, but when they're like every day, like, yeah, we'll just push the button, like live. Like that's like there's no you know, Wizard of Oz behind the curtain necessarily from that regard, in
Hmm.
that just being open and transparent about how this stuff works. And again, it's another situation, right, where the demos don't always go like
Right.
Yeah.
great live,
Yeah.
right? And they're okay with that. It's like so it's been fun to watch. But yesterday I think was interesting now that I've read the GPT summary that George has provided, but also the reactions from George and Nico as we came in about is this a big deal? Is this not a big deal? And I think that's been interesting as well, as far as going from like, all right, big new video model, and then here's some API updates. Here's how we help the developers. Okay, projects. All right, here's how we've improved some of the flow, right? Going back and forth. And yesterday, this the desktop application.
Hmm.
We talk about agentic and agent stuff quite a bit on the show. Um, I think something, so basically you download, you can use GPT on Mac and Windows. I think the specific features they were showing yesterday may not be available yet on Windows,
Not yet.
right?
Yep.
Right.
Coming soon
Yeah, you
to
can still
a
download
PC near you.
the
Yeah.
app
As always.
and get started. Uh, but yeah, just being able to uh, connect it to apps with a user interface, I think is the part that I'm getting to, because we've been talking about this through Claude and the model context protocol, and like if you know which servers to link to and how to set it up, it's all in the background, right? And
Hmm.
once you get it set up, it's pretty awesome. Like do stuff in these places and it'll go do that stuff, right? This thing has a user interface and you pick the apps easily. So I think that accessibility, again, we're back to that word, where it's going to be a lot more easier for people to use it. Um, but it was pretty cool, and I expect, you know, again, even for me, like with Claude, it's been annoying to not like be able to use the audio um, option when I'm on desktop, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Having things like the GPT app, the advanced voice available in that app. I look forward to testing it out more for sure.
Yeah, I've actually been. I can't say that much. I know I keep going in this direction too, but it is what it is, folks. I definitely use. It's pretty funny. I use GPT more on my desktop through voice mode, and typically when I'm using Claude, it's a hybrid thing. I find myself typing sometimes when I feel like it's going to be short, but if I feel like it's the expanse of an idea or something like that, then I just switch to my phone and I'll just use the text to, or speech to text feature on it. So yeah, I 100% understand what you mean with that, because it would really be nice to have, you know, all for all across all platforms. I'm definitely not a fan of, oh, we have it working for this OS, and we're not even really going to talk about the date for when it'll come for the other one, or if, or whatever it is, right? I know that the guys at OpenAI are huge, Apple fans. That's great, but that's half. There's still the other half, and it's not that we're not fans. We just don't want to use that gear. So, would definitely be nice to see these features on Apple, and or I'm sorry, on PC, and doesn't have to be specifically on Android, but yeah. I'm wondering, that's really been my question. Perplexity was able to get their their browser to show up as like a source now. So like if you're looking in your CRM, you'll see Perplexity listed as part of the source detail. I'm wondering where GPT falls into that, and like you know, how does that work in terms of Like you can't Google, you know what I mean? Like just the phone thing is still like blowing my mind in terms of being able to like pick up your phone and do like a GPT search without actually having to go online and search for something, right?
Well, I think we got to remember that like the phone isn't necessarily searching for something. The phone is using the model to answer questions. Like there's fundamentally a little bit of a difference between searching in the app because you're literally saying, "Hey, hit the search button, use the search functionality." Although it's bringing in the sources, which again could be in the model, but like for me, going back to this desktop thing, I listen. I rock PC. I wish it worked on PC. Sorta, maybe not. Let me be completely honest. As I was watching that, I was like, "Crap! Does this mean I need to change my workflow? Is somebody moving my cheese? Do I like this or not? Maybe I like the way I'm doing it, GPT. Why are you messing with my like?" So, like, part of me, I can see the potential future of where it will go. Like when they were just directly working with Notion, right? And I'm like, well, if I could just directly work with Google Docs, and if it would just immediately put it in there, or it would look at what I have, and then like, so I can see it. But then I was like, oh, dang it, I don't know what this means. So like, anyway.
I don't know. I'm like I it's kind of like when you showed me. So to me, it's a toss up. We were talking a little bit before we came on about like to Chris's point, like what's a cool feature, what's not a cool feature, what's leverageable, what's not really leverageable. You know, George was just showing us yesterday that you could do just a random search could yield, especially because the content is meaningful, could yield not only just the verbal response, but also web resources supporting that, and then even like YouTube videos if YouTube content's available to go along with it, right? So it creates this like it's in a point now where it really starts to create a sort of 360 learning environment almost. I could see the next element of this being, which you kind of already have that, to be honest. I don't know how many people use it. I use it all the time, all the time. Um, and it's really, it's not like I wouldn't say it's a thing of laziness. It's really more a thing of like advanced or like the next step in multitasking, right? Because like I don't have to stop to type. I can just talk while I'm doing other stuff. Um, but yeah, I use the I don't know what you would call it, but text to speech feature. So like I'll have GPT say it back to me basically, either if I'm on my phone or on desktop. And to me, like those little features are like huge quality of life things. The accessibility to raw information that is like absolutely relevant to what you're looking up is amazing. Being able to look up that information from anywhere is awesome, and from practically any type of device that can connect to a phone line. The agentic stuff that we're going to have coming next year is really going to be my like. Sam said in an interview the other day. This just makes me laugh because like I try to think of, you know, what might be on the horizon, and it's like it really it kills me when these guys are at these modes. But he was asked about, you know, what's exciting him right now with what they have going on, and like what, you know, what behind the, not necessarily behind the scenes, but like what's one of the things he's most excited about. And naturally he said, well, I can't really talk about it, but there's some things we've uncovered with research that are just really, well, oh man, what was the word? Um, I wanna I wanna say he said mind blowing. Right. So like we're talking about like the people at the forefront being blown away essentially by their own creations. Right.
I mean,
And this kind
I get that vibe though. Like I've had
yeah.
moments where I'm like, wow, what did I just figure out with this thing that like? So to think about them having those moments, how much deeper they are than I. Oh, it,
Right. And
yeah,
like, I remember like there was like a quip from the CFO who they managed to grab her for a couple minutes and asked her the same question. And this was, a couple months ago, I think, but asked her the same question. And she said, every week, every week they're in a board meeting where they're talking about like latest research, latest this, latest that. And she's like, every week I am just jaw dropping at the stuff that they're bringing to the table. So, again, like I know that we talk about timeline, we talk about advancement, we talk about how fast things are moving. If 2 months ago there was a major breakthrough every week, and then Sam is talking about something that they have on the table right now that is mind blowing to him, I'm not entirely sure what that looks like, but it's got to be something super super like well into like AGI. Like that's definitely not even a thought leading into whatever. I don't know. Like that's what I would think. For him to be blown away by something would have to be pretty ridiculously special, considering his thoughts on GPT-4 are not really that great. He's anytime he I don't even know that he talks about 4 that much at this point. Or if you did mention it, he might switch the subject to O1 just to not have to talk about it. But yeah, I think I don't know if I mentioned it or got a chance to mention it, but there was also another quip that I thought was really interesting that for the first time, well, no, it's not the first time. It's the first time from OpenAI, so it's definitely big name, big stage. Everybody's paying attention. Don't know if everybody actually took it in when it got said, but first time from Sam saying it, unless you listen to a lot of podcasts, that or at least admitting to the fact that what it is that they're doing is a self-depreciating technology like thing, meaning that at some point, like right now, we have this exponential curve upward in terms of what we're going to see intelligence wise, capability wise, like what models are going to be able to do and enable us to be able to do all that kind of thing. What sort of follows that, but it like imbalance to it in the other direction is okay, well, if everything becomes exponentially easier, better, faster, more efficient, then it also must exponentially become cheaper, easier, more abundant, right? Like you just can't have one without the other. Like it's the collateral damage of having this much manufacturing, like low cost manufacturing infrastructure, is abundance. Like there's no two ways about it. That being the case, it's like the brains are no different than the brawn realistically, except for the fact that they don't maybe. I mean, even from a hardware perspective, it's about the same. So, just very interesting to me that he was willing to say that, like, yeah, this definitely is one of the first. I'm not sure that it's the only, but it's definitely one of the first technologies that we are going to pour hundreds of billions of dollars into for something to end up being free. Which, as far as I can understand, is a first.
I don't know. $200 a month doesn't feel free.
Oh no, I don't. I'm not talking about that. I just mean that like the cost that it's going to take to develop this stuff over time. I feel I don't know that this is actually going to be the case. Not up at that level. But I see it almost like an arc where the cost to develop the stuff is going to hit a plateau at some point, but eventually, at that moment, the efficiency is going to kick in, and it will stop costing as much, and the cost will start coming down while the efficiency is still going to keep going up, right? So it might not be like it might be, I don't know, 2040 or 2050. I don't know what it's going to be, but yeah, I just think it's really interesting because I don't think that we have anything else like that necessarily. Like we don't
Yeah.
have it. Any other technology that the greater version of it is cheaper than the one that came before it.
Yeah, I mean, just the toll-free stuff, the call-in stuff already is like to be able to make it that accessible, right?
Yeah.
And just to clarify, like the 1-800 number is for the US, but the rest of the world can dial in through WhatsApp,
Hmm.
uh, and get that experience.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's not just GPT either, guys. Right? Like, I was, I think it was me, Chris and I were talking about the fact that, and I'm sure George, I know you could see this, where it's like, first year was like all text all the time, and this past year has been like, first part of the year was like all image, and like image generation everywhere, like trying to generate everything you possibly can, going into sort of like voice and music sort of into the middle of this year, and a little bit of video, but video's still like not so great, but now video's awesome. So it's like we're at this juncture, and this is weird. I want to know if you guys feel this way, because that's what this reminded me of. At this point, I feel like I've seen all the bells and whistles. I've seen the toys. I've seen what everybody's toys can kind of do, and I realize that they're all going to be able to do the same thing. So, so I'm ready. Like I'm ready for the, okay, cool. You have that feature now. Like show me the functionality. So like I want to see this applied now. I want to see like put GP. Like that's why. Like to me, today has got to be that day, because it's like I don't have enough money for a figure two, right? But I want to see something. I want to like with GPT in it, right? Like
So you're
running.
talking device.
I would love it to be device, even if it was like agentic desktop. I'd be very happy with that.
Interesting. My mind went totally different direction. Like, uh, I, when I heard you going down that road, I went to Nico's at a hardware store. He sees 7 different hammers. He just wants to pick up one hammer and start to make that his tool moving forward and become the best at his craft with that tool. Um, that's where I'm at. Like I bounced around for a little bit, but I'm really ready to call a home,
Mm.
and start to create in a way where I can become a ninja at understanding how to get the best out of that tool. Um, Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I hope people aren't sleeping on GPT projects. And I hope that we're not always just chasing the latest fad to like go jump on video or go build cartoons or go do this next thing, and we get good at the foundational elements of what these models, what these tools give us. I created something earlier this morning. We were talking about mind blowing. That was mind blowing. Mind blowing. Um, so I've been doing a podcast for over a year. And I want everybody to pay attention to the process that I did here. I took a transcript, and the first thing I said is, I said, "Can you please rewrite this and make sure it's grammatically correct, or grammar and spelling correct?" And I just gave it the transcript, and I put it in, and it typed it all out the way that it should be, grammar and spelling and all that. And then I said, "Hey, you're an expert summarizer and content strategist. Your task is to analyze a podcast transcript and extract its most important information to create foundations for a book or other resources for each podcast episode. Follow these steps. Key takeaways." Like, I won't list them all. If anybody's interested in this prompt, I'll send you this damn prompt. But I give all these pieces, right? And then I say to it, once I get all the pieces, which by the way is key takeaways, quotes, memorable phrases, themes and sub themes, audience relevance, connection. I said I wasn't going to say them. So now I go, if we're going to write a chapter of a book about this topic, what might that outline for the chapter look like? And now it gave me the outline of the chapter. Okay. And I said, you know what? let's go ahead and write this chapter. And so now here's the thing. What I want to read to you, and this is me as a human, not touching it at all. Not touching it at all. Okay? Gets to a point where it says personal stories of starting lines, subhead. It says, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't touch it at all.
The output.
Let me take you back to two defining moments that reveal how transformative starting lines can be. These weren't just turning points, they were moments where everything shifted, forcing me to confront my fears and rise above challenges unexpectedly. Picture this: a small one room log cabin nestled in the rugged wilderness of Lincoln, Montana. There was no running water and life felt small and limiting. Yet, amidst the simplicity, there was a joy, an unknowing resilience that taught me happiness wasn't defined by what I lacked, but by how I lived. That was my first starting line, a moment that taught me that even humble beginnings could spark a deep appreciation for life's possibilities. Now, imagine a high school classroom. The air is heavy, and a math teacher's voice cuts through the silence. You'll never amount to anything. Those words stuck like a blow. At 17, I walked away from school carrying the weight of that statement. It felt like an ending, the closing of a door. But that moment, painful as it was, became my second starting line. It drove me to join the Navy, where I didn't touch it. That was the output from the transcript. I couldn't write it that. I know writers that couldn't write it that good. Amidst the air was heavy. Like, it's getting good, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
If you're getting good, it's getting good.
Yeah. And that's like when writers do that stuff good. That's generally my understanding, having not being from Hollywood or, you know, uh, that space. It's like that's why shit takes 5, 10 years to come out after they get the idea, because they rewrite and they rewrite and they rewrite and they rewrite to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm super curious of those timelines. Like if you remove that part and like, because it's not even like this is just the transcript, right? What I'm looking forward to is for it to be able to ingest the whole thing so that it can hear, in this case, George's tone and like, uh, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you often lose a lot of that when it's just the transcript. Um, but yeah, that's powerful, right? And
Dude.
that's why, like, if you read it, that's why, like, if you just push all the things that you're supposed to do
Yep.
to the side, right? And you read an output from any of these tools, and it gives you goosebumps, like, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
enjoy it. You don't
Yeah.
have to
Right.
touch it, right?
Like
Like,
like the thing that my content strategist keeps telling me is it's doing great. It's doing great, but it needs the sauce. It needs the GPT sauce, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
bless
I
your
just
100%.
heart, it
read you
is.
that I just read you the GPT sauce. It's in there. Like, and so to get to that level and to now know I have a process that for every episode that we've done over the last year, I could create a chapter, and then I can handpick the chapters that I wanted to put together to be a book. And it's all going to have the sauce because we've been sharing the sauce along the way.
Right? You've given it the
Anyway,
sauce, and now it knows how to use the sauce.
that's what I'm
Like that's
saying,
the
brother.
thing,
And the
right?
sauce is
Like,
good.
right? And this man, this audio component, I do want to show uh what we were talking about earlier, because again, this accessibility um is a huge part of this, because not everybody uh has been able to just, power through and create podcasts and episodes and content in the way that we we were able to, and especially George, all the stuff he's doing, which is obviously needed to give it the sauce, right? You need to, if you haven't put yourself out there and you don't have this content to draw from, you got to find a way to start putting yourself in there. And um, this example from yesterday, I'm going to see if I can get the same result as George. Uh, of this, um, check out this link and show us what you got. Yesterday, we came up with a YouTube video that was not on the page, right? It was not specific. It was not titled the same. Um, but what I have here is this, and I don't know if I can't zoom in on the app, but this is the Windows app for GPT, right? And instead of doing this here, I'm just gonna copy this, and now Alt spacebar, right? Brings up this chat GPT. Now I put it in here and I hit search. I don't even think I need to hit search, but I'll hit it
I didn't hit
anyways.
no search.
All right. Let's not change variables, right? And now this is the thing, like, it's interesting. This could be voice, I think, when they update the app, but I do have voice over here. So Alt space was what I had to do to pull this up, right? And it gives us a breakdown of the podcast. And this at this point yesterday, I'm just gonna see if it does anything different over here. But my point, the reason I want to show it is the Alt space. Like, so this to me is, you get to the point where this is the starting point for anything that you're doing. This Alt space, which is not different from Hey GPT, right?
Yeah.
And what we saw yesterday is this interface here chooses when to use the other apps on your desktop, which means you don't have to go to those apps specifically to do anything. And if I don't have to mouse click and I can just Alt space and then start talking to it, right? How accessible is that? So seemingly small update, but really, and
Quality
Nico
of
and I are
life.
definitely going to do a deep dive of these 12 days, because I think if you put them all together, you get to this point where it's just more accessible than it's ever been, and all the pieces are there to make it agentic, and we're just kind of waiting on it all the dots connecting. Because the thing that I get super excited about is, like, if we're all on the same GPT account
Mm-hmm.
and we're working together and we all have this app and we just start talking and collaborating, and AI is in the middle, making sure there's no miscommunications, no misinformation, like just collaboration on a completely different level.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like I was talking about yesterday with I was telling my wife the fact that, like, just like you said, like, if you think about all the things that have happened in the last week, if if you are someone who doesn't have a smartphone but you happen to be in a third world country, you have a translator. Pick up your phone, 1-800-GPT, right? Like, the quality of life things that have been delivered over the last 11 days, and I'm not even sure what's coming out today, but just all of it, like you say, added together, for people who are using this stuff on a daily basis. Yeah, your life is already, like, your life has already gotten better, but it's now getting, like, exponentially better, right?
yes. So please, we're gonna take a break for the holiday. Uh, we hope this was helpful. Um, but I'm not saying you have to connect over the holidays. I know a lot of people like to connect or disconnect. But in 2025, like, please start to build the mindset. that you must, there is no more option. You must build AI skills daily. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you in 2025.